I'm joined today by James Sheehan, CEO of Priority Intelligence Group. Thanks for joining me again, James.
Really good to be here, Darren. Thanks for having me.
So, you've put out a fair bit of news since we last spoke. The first one being you announced a couple of weeks back the formal adoption of your Bitcoin Treasury strategy. Can you tell us more about this and why you've done it?
I can. I think it's really important at first to understand that it's a strategy we've adopted because we are operating within that business environment. So we're a technology first business. We've got obviously very much a long-term positive outlook on digital assets and Bitcoin in particular. But we've been able to adopt this treasury management policy because we're already transacting, already being paid for services by some customers in BTC. And some other currencies that then convert to Bitcoin automatically. And from our perspective, it's given us the ability to open up a really interesting and exciting new product to potential mass market adoption in the space over time. And obviously we're excited to be developing that and working with Coinbase Commerce on it as well.
Okay. Was it difficult to implement regulatory wise? I mean, can any AIM listed or London listed company just go and do this? Are there a few things you need to sort of check off before you do this?
Yeah, no, it's not easy from a regulatory perspective, Darren, to pull or to put a treasury management and Bitcoin treasury play in place. Obviously, both AIM and the London Stock Exchange, they are they're very good, strong institutional listing platforms for equities. They've got significant regulatory hurdles, and it's really important that you meet those thresholds and that you abide by the regulatory processes
Hmm.
within those exchanges. And one of the main things and one of the main reasons that we have been able to go down this path and we're excited about it is because we're already a technology business. We're, as I said, technology first business. We're developing really exciting AI solutions. We're also recently with the Halfspace acquisition now a data services business as well. So we've
Hmm.
got a core technology functionality. And digital assets is obviously the next step for us, but it's a step that we've already implemented from a business perspective. We're already taking payments. So we were able to become the first AIM company to adopt this type of policy. And I think it will be very difficult for other companies that are not specifically in this space to do it, to be honest.
Hmm. And I know you've opened the door to receiving, or probably have been for a while, receiving crypto payments as part of providing your services, and they could funnel quite nicely into the treasury itself, as you deem fit. But would you also ever buy Bitcoin, I guess, like some of the other companies are doing?
Yeah, I think we will, and I think it's important that again we reiterate we do believe in the long-term value of the asset class, our treasury management policy allows us to have 50% of our surplus capital in Bitcoin. So it's likely we'll be buying and holding Bitcoin over the longer term, and we're not a direct play on the Bitcoin price. We're not that type of investment, pure play treasury management business that we've seen sort of gathering pace a little bit on the exchanges.
Yeah, that can be a good
But
thing, can't it? Because obviously you're not,
yeah,
Bitcoin, say, for example, was to make a big move. And to be fair, with Bitcoin, it's a lot more stable now and there's a lot more adoption of it. But you've got a core business on the side of it. So you're not completely reliant on the price of Bitcoin, and shareholders aren't going to get necessarily unpleasant surprises, say, compared to other companies, if there's a big Bitcoin fall, and their share prices follow.
exactly that. I mean, that's one of the core concerns I would say of the exchanges and core concerns of some of the regulators. So no, we're not going to be led that way. We've got a very good and exciting business. We've got a digital first perspective and outlook, as I say, and I reiterate, and that's why we have adopted this policy. We see Bitcoin becoming much more mainstream from a commercial standpoint over the coming years, and we wanted to be in a position to have a first mover-esque advantage of being able to support corporates and businesses adopting it, and that's why we've positioned ourselves here. And obviously with partners like Coinbase Commerce, they expect us to hold a certain amount of Bitcoin anyway when we're working with them, when we're taking on their services. And if we're championing that type of opportunity to other corporate companies and customers, they're going to expect us to be holding those assets as well, right? So
Hmm.
it's very sensible for us to buy and hold some and demonstrate our long-term support for the asset class. And it is 50% of surplus capital, so it's not something that's going to be overly problematic for us. If the Bitcoin price does fluctuate, we'll sit on it and we'll wait those kind of peaks and troughs out, because we do see Bitcoin as an asset class that, okay, doesn't go up in a straight line, but it does go up ultimately. It's been demonstrated over the course of the last best part of 17 years that it's an asset class that does grow and has grown significantly
Yeah.
over that time. So yeah, of course
Well,
we want to.
it's actually quite interesting because some of these companies that are pure sort of like treasury plays, they're just going straight out there and buying Bitcoin at spot, regardless, which is great conviction. That's fine. But you could also say there's actually a place in the market for almost like a buy the dip type approach. Um, so you don't need to throw all your eggs in one basket. Okay, I understand what you're saying there. Um,
Completely agree as well with that buy the dip type approach. I think
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
And the other exciting thing is, right, we've been paid by certain companies in digital assets, right? So we've also got the ability to grow our treasury by default, by just driving our business forward, which has to be a really huge positive for us in comparison to some of the treasury
Hmm.
plays that are just buying it and raising cash to buy it.
Yeah, and obviously, if you have the digital assets, you can liquidate them if you need to for whatever reasons you need to. Okay. So another piece of news, you also announced last week that you have applied for an OTCQB. It's a bit of a tongue twister
Mhm.
listing. I'm guessing to open the doors more easily to US investors, given there's a lot of interest out there in AI crypto type stocks. Can you give us more background then on your decision to do that?
Yeah, I think this is a really important announcement, and something that I think should yield some really positive outcomes for us as a business, as a listed business. My background, as some may or may not know, is 20 years in the capital markets in London. Obviously, over that time period, I've made some great relationships with people across the pond in New York, and we've got really good ties to capital markets professionals and investors out there.
Mm,
And ultimately, by having an OTCQB listing, we'll be able to build those relationships a little bit closer. There's investors I know who want to buy our stock out of the US already. They'll be able to do that on utilizing that exchange. We expect it will drive additional liquidity for us. We
mm,
expect it will drive additional investor appetite. And another important thing is we launched our first US customer via the Capitano platform in joint venture with Halfspace, who we recently acquired. We launched in the US with Orange County a few months back, and we intend to build a customer base and a customer facing a business in the US as well, because there's a huge opportunity out there to drive growth in our technology and our data services and AI solutions business. So having an OTCQB listing will obviously give us presence in the US, not just from a market facing perspective, but also from a customer acquisition perspective.
mm. And presumably also having that listed also opens up potential further funding channels if required.
Yeah, and obviously much deeper pockets out there, right? So
Mm.
exciting.
Yeah. Okay. And then moving on to one of your more recent announcements, which is one that I personally find quite interesting, and been having a little sneaky look on your website. It's PR or Pri0Bit, I guess it's called.
Private.
Um, yeah. So you've just announced the launch of Pri0Bit, an AI-powered Bitcoin crypto integration solution for SMEs, which I believe allows them to sort of integrate crypto payments into their ecosystems. But I think it's a lot more than that from what I can see on your website. Can you tell us more about this and how you see it contributing to the business and its growth going forwards? And how does it, say, differ from me, say, as a business owner, just going to Coinbase and saying, "Oh, I want a crypto account. I want to accept crypto payments."
Yeah, I think that's a couple of questions in there, some really good
Mm,
questions. We're obviously very excited about this. This is the convergence of AI solutions and the digital asset universe, which is, what we've been kind of discussing and laying the groundwork for over the course of the last few months. And our solution provides hopefully a significant amount of support for the SMEs who are looking at digital assets as a means of currency and a means of transacting, and do believe that there is a an opportunity for them to utilize Bitcoin. I think digital currencies are coming thick and fast, whether we want them to or not. And we're a big proponent of trying to make sure that customers, and when I say customers, I mean businesses, can actually transact securely and appropriately and understand the risks around some of these asset classes. So we sit as a conduit between Coinbase and the SME who maybe want to onboard. And a lot of these companies will be looking at it as a really interesting and exciting opportunity. And they want to, there's some big corporations out there that we know who are looking at this as an opportunity and wondering how
mm.
do they get exposure to it. But they don't understand it. So they're not technology businesses, maybe more analog businesses, and ultimately we can on a consultative basis support them and give them the knowledge and understanding that they need to make some of the right decisions and provide that AI solution to actually enhance the overall experience that they have when they do set up a wallet, making sure they've got their treasury management policies in place, making sure that they've got their cover and that people can easily access their digital asset transaction space when they want to transact with them in digital currencies.
Yeah, I can see a lot more companies are going to be going down the treasury route, not just listed companies on the stock market for investors to get excited about each time one comes along, but just general businesses,
That's what
potentially
we see.
gravi potentially gravitating towards understanding that, Bitcoin could or should be something
So I
to
was in a
have.
really,
Mm,
I was in a really interesting meeting this week with
mm,
a really large, well-known household name, and historically, a lot of their customer base were transacting cash, and obviously we're moving right to a cash towards a cashless society at the
mm.
moment, and they're now starting to look at things like digital currencies because they're in that world and they're buying bitcoins and they're investing in these things as a means of transacting. And we were having a very interesting conversation with them about how do they adopt a policy and a strategy that allows them to work with their underlying customer base, utilizing digital assets and digital currencies, because it is becoming very much a more mainstream opportunity and a much more mainstream product. So I think, this time the maturity that's coming into the marketplace and the type of institutional support that it has, I think means that with this recent run on Bitcoin price and other digital asset prices, we could well see a much more longer term stable network.
Yeah. So do you feel like you might have some sort of first mover advantage here then, since you've got this stuff set up and, ready to sort of integrate customers?
I think so. Yeah, I think we are in a strong position, and
Mm,
we're having conversations, first time conversations, as I say, with SMEs and with larger institutions about our products, and as I say, that it's incoming interest as well as us talking to them directly. But when we get into the conversations, it's very much on people's mind So it's definitely an exciting time, and I think yeah, we look like we've got a really good first mover advantage over a number of potential players in the space.
Okay. So with recent developments then we've discussed and the conclusion of the Halfspace acquisition, which you've announced just today, how do you see the future for Priority and achieving sort of the all-important growth, if you like, of the business? And why do you think now is a good time for investors to look at the company?
I think now's a really exciting time. So the Halfspace acquisition brings with it a really, really solid team, some exciting customers that they already have, where there's great cross-selling opportunity, and we can provide AI solutions into their current data solutions and services.
Mm,
The opportunity to win new business in combination is really, really exciting. So I think we've got to be focused on how we marry artificial intelligence and data as a solution. I mean, that is a really sensible marriage.
mm,
And so that's exciting. We're launching new products into a captive market where people are interested and excited and want to take on those products. And watch this space for obviously developments on customers and other things as they come out. But the office is buzzing, right? So the environment here is really, really excited,
mm.
and people are enjoying coming in because there's a lot going on and it's very exciting. So from an investor's point of view, I'd be, yeah, I think it's a great time to be looking at us as a buying opportunity. I really do.
Okay. Well, it sounds exciting, James. Thanks for joining me today, and I guess we'll have catch up again in the near future.